Good evening, everyone. Let me welcome you to the Burke County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Tuesday, November the 17th, 2020. Thank all of you for being here this afternoon. Madam Clerk, at this time we'll do the roll call. All the commissioners are present, along with the county manager and the county attorney and the county finance director and deputy director. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do have any devices with you that make noise, if you would check those, silence those mobile devices for me at this time, I would certainly appreciate it. And if you are called up to speak, if you will activate the microphone up front, just press the button to the right. The red light will come on at the top, and that way you'll know it's activated. In between speakers, we will be cleaning the podium, so give us just a moment or two in between speakers to do that. For our invocation and pledge of allegiance this evening, for the invocation we have Pastor Ed Stevenson, our dear friend from Arnie's Fairview UMC. We're glad to have him with us again, as always. And after he says our invocation, J.R. Simpson, County Attorney, will lead us into Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'll stand with me for the invocation, Pastor Arnie. Pastor Stevenson.
Father, we come to you this beautiful evening, this cool evening, and with gratitude in our hearts that we have the opportunity to see our Constitution, our rights, and everything that concerns the polity of this county in action. Lord, we thank you for these commissioners who so diligently do what they feel is the absolute best for all of the people of this county. And they're doing a good job, Lord, and we thank you for that. Father, as we remember the events that are surrounding us, the fear, the anger, the disbelief, many things, Lord, are affecting us. Let us remember that just a few people can bring peace to the world, and it has always been so. But Father, we have the opportunity to bring peace to this county, to this state, and to this nation, beginning right here in Burke County, North Carolina. Lord, this is our plea. This is our prayer. But most of all, Lord, we plead that you continue to watch over us, and in spite of ourselves, that you have your will in each of our lives. We make our plea and we offer our prayer. In the name of your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Please join us in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, J.R. Thank you, Pastor. I want to take just a moment of personal privilege to thank each and every one of you that said prayers for me and my wife and, and my granddaughter during the month of October when we experienced COVID-19. COVID-19 is real. That was probably one of the worst episodes of sickness that I've ever had in my life. Some of you in here have experienced COVID along with us. My wife is still not totally recovered, but it was very debilitating, and I know prayers are answered. Each and every one of you county employees are dear to me in my heart. I appreciate everything that you said, everything that you did, the phone calls to check on us, and it will never be forgotten. Thank you so very much. Gentlemen, you've had the agenda. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, you've heard the motion by Commissioner Taylor. All in favor signify by raising of the right hands. Madam Clerk, that will be 5-0. Thank you so very much. We have minutes before us for approval. We have the August the 4th special pre-agenda meeting, August the 18th regular meeting, September the 1st pre-agenda meeting, and September the 15th regular meeting. What is the pleasure of the board on these minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I looked at all of them and I don't see any mistakes or anything, and I make a motion to approve them as printed. Thank you.
All right, you heard Commissioner Able's motion. All in favor signify by raising of the right hand. That will be 5-0, Madam Clerk. Moving on to our presentations for tonight. The first presentation, as usual, is our Pet of the Month from our Animal Services Center, and that will be presented by Ms. Lindsay Stone. Lindsay and her soon-to-be baby.
Thank you guys so much for having me. So our Pets of the Month We have Ted as our dog. Ted is the sweetest. He's a favorite down at the shelter right now. He is the sweetest, most lovable, adorable dog ever. He is pretty high energy. He's a lab mix, so he is going to need a family that likes to hike or has a big yard. But he is super, super awesome. He loves other dogs. He loves his toys. And he would make a great pet for anyone. And then our kitty cat is Senna. He's a favorite of mine. He just wants to cuddle. He loves to be held. He loves other cats. So he would do well in a home that already has cats, looking to add another. And I think he would do well in a home with children as well because he loves to be held and petted. And as always, we would love to have more volunteers, fosters, especially coming up through the Thanksgiving holiday. We would love to see a lot of our pets be able to get out of the shelter for that holiday. And any adopters as well.
All right, gentlemen, any comments for Lindsay or anybody that's watching? Well, I'd just like to encourage everyone just to go by the Animal Services Center and please adopt. That is our motto down there. We've done such a great job, and I want to continue that adoption. So please go by and pick one of these fine animals up. Okay, Lindsay, thank you so very much. Our second presentation is a proclamation declaring December 1st as Nonprofit Day in Burke County from the United Way, and that's going to be presented by Alan Wood. Alan?
Thank you, Commissioners, for allowing us to present this today. I am here on behalf of Burke County United Way as one of their board members and head of their fundraising team right now. Just a couple things, and then I'll just run through the proclamation real quick. We're having an online event, a fundraising event. United Way is sponsoring this and covering the cost. We have invited all nonprofits in Burke County to participate at no charge for this event. We already have over 20 signed up to participate with us. We anticipate several more. That deadline to sign up for that is this Friday. You go to oneburkegives.org. That's the number one, burkegives.org. And you can sign up as a nonprofit and participate in this 24-hour event. Once again, there is no charge. You can invite your friends and neighbors to participate with you and help raise funds for your favorite charity. There are events going on all day long. There are several matching events during the day. There are several prizes that we have sponsors for that will help with the nonprofit that has the most donations over a period of time and several others. So I will just real quickly run through this. Proclamation declaring December 1st, 2020 as Nonprofit Day, aka One Burke Gives in Burke County, North Carolina. Whereas charitable nonprofit organizations throughout Burke County save taxpayers thousands of dollars through their services and contribute significantly to the high quality of life for all citizens, and whereas these organizations are committed to serving the educational, cultural, civic, health, religious, human services, recreational, philanthropic, environmental, and other diverse needs of Burke County, and whereas the staff and volunteers of all Burke County nonprofit organizations are dedicated to upholding the highest standards of community service, donating their time and effort to making the difference in the lives of others, and whereas Tuesday, December 1st, observance of Burke County, North Carolina Nonprofit Day, aka One Burke Gives, provides a unique opportunity for the citizens of Burke County to join together in appreciation and support of the many contributions made by nonprofit organizations to our continued well-being while boosting awareness for continued growth. Now, for the Burke County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim December 1st, 2020 as Nonprofit Day, aka One Burke Gives in Burke County, and encouraging all citizens to recognize positive impact nonprofit organizations have on the quality of life of the citizens of Burke County, North Carolina.
Thank you for that presentation, Alan. Gentlemen, questions for Alan? Any comments? Alan, I do appreciate everything that United Way is doing. Nonprofits are a backbone of this county. We all know that. They have been for a number of years, and we appreciate what they do. And I'm very proud to sign this document declaring the One Burke Gives. I like that one, One Burke Gives. That's a great moniker for that one. Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I just encourage anybody to pick out your favorite, or 3 or 4 or 5, and decide what you can give and give. It is an act of God, to say the least, to help somebody else who is less fortunate than you.
Yes, sir. True. Accept a motion to approve this proclamation.
So moved.
All right, we've heard Maynard's motion. All in favor signify by raising of the right hand. Madam Clerk, that will be 5-0. Thank you so very much, Alan.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 3 will be from Tourism Development. It will be our financial update for the period ending June 30th and September 30th of 2020. That will be presented by Ed Phillips, Tourism Development Authority Director. Ed?
Well, good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight and make a presentation on tourism, which has suffered terribly in the early stages of COVID, and we have had some significant recovery, but the wintertime is unknown to us at this time. But anyway, I'd like to, first of all, go through our balance sheet for September 30th. This would be the quarterly report from July 1 through September 30th. And on September 30th, we had $308,994.25 in our checking savings account. And this is actually a good number. That is online for what we had at this time last year. From July 1 through September 30th, 3 months of collecting occupancy tax, we are actually $2,300 ahead of 2019. And so, with the addition of another hotel in downtown and some hard summer travel that came here, folks came here to get outdoors and experience what Burke County has to offer the most, which is national forest and state parks and a lot of outdoor recreation. We actually grew those 3 months over last year, which was absolutely fantastic news. For the annual report, which ended on June 30th, we had a good year. Of course, COVID hit in March. Travel ceased in March, April, May. It started to recover in May. And then June was a great month for us. It started to bounce back. We did, however, suffer a loss for the year of about a little over $8,000. And this was directly related to COVID. We took strong action inside the TDA to minimize losses by curtailing marketing, advertising, public relations activities where we normally spend about $150,000 a year on that. And in the last quarter of the last fiscal year, we significantly cut that back as a means of saving funds and concentrate more on direct Facebook marketing and some direct marketing that we did with publications and travel writers. So that's my report for the year and for the quarter.
Gentlemen, questions for Ed?
Mr. Chairman, Ed, we met obviously this morning, and I was encouraged to hear that first quarter positive news, because that's I think a shock, and it says a lot about the work that's being done. And it was interesting to me how many Airbnb and VRBOs that contributed to that you think really contributed to that, because we were down still for business travel during the week, but weekends our hotels are full, and then we had all those VRBOs and Airbnbs, and I think you said there's, what, 160?
Yeah, there's roughly 160 vacation rentals in Burke County. That number fluctuates every day. Some come in, come out, but roughly around 160 back in the end of June, and that's significant growth. In the last 5 years, that's gone from like 50 vacation rentals to 160, so it's up over 300% in 5 years with vacation rentals.
Ed, can you give us any idea how the occupancy is working for the new hotel?
Yeah, so of course they are the first Marriott property that we've had in Burke County, and so you have the loyal Marriott clientele who can now stay here and earn their points or spend their points if they wish. And so the weekends have been very, very busy there. During the week has been the problem. That did increase in September and October during the week. We also ran some trolley tours, fall color tours on our trolley in October. And we had 87 passengers come from all over North Carolina and South Carolina. And we documented those actually stayed, some of those stayed in the downtown hotel and also at the Hampton, the Comfort and the Days Inn. So that contributed to that business in those months. The business travel, the corporate travel, the manufacturing travel is still down. And we don't expect that to recover mid-2021 to late 2021.
Other questions or comments? All right, hearing none. Anybody make a motion to accept?
So moved.
You hear Mr. Britton's motion to accept the reports as presented. All in favor signify by raising the right hands. Madam Clerk, that'll be 5-0. Thank you, Ed. We'll move now to our scheduled public hearings. Our first public hearing is from Burke Development, Inc., a building reuse grant for Project Downey and public hearing, and that's going to be presented by Alan Wood from BDI. Alan?
Seems like I was just up here. Okay, Project Downey is looking at purchasing a building at 104 West Southwest Street Northwest. Let me do that again. 104 First Street Northwest, Hildebrand. I've got it right that time. They will be moving into that facility out of South Carolina. We are applying for a building reuse grant to assist them. There are 19 jobs tied to the reuse grant. The grant amount is $100,000. We've had a call with the county manager and NC Commerce yesterday. Everything is lined up. The application is submitted. It is waiting for your resolution to finish this out. We are with Hildebrand next Monday, asking them to share the 5% local match. As I said, there are 19 jobs tied to the grant. We think there will be significantly more than that, but this, at the point in time, is all they wanted to commit to, or Commerce felt comfortable with. But I think those numbers will be significantly above that as we move forward. They're a very good company, and they've had very good things to say about Burke County to this point in time. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that presentation. Gentlemen, questions for Alan on Project Downey? Hearing no questions, at this time I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the building reuse grant for Project Downey? Madam Clerk, seeing or hearing no one, I will close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of the board on this matter?
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to adopt resolution number 2020-26, approve a grant administration contract with Western Piedmont Council of Government pending and a building reuse grant award for Project Downey, appropriate up to $2,500 of general fund balance pending a building reuse grant award for Project Downey.
All right, gentlemen, you've heard Commissioner Taylor's motion. All in favor signify by raising of the right hands. Madam Clerk, that will be 5-0. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
This time we'll move forward to our second scheduled public hearing from Community Development. Will be a zoning map amendment, ZMA 2020-03 in public hearing. and that will be presented by Scott Carpenter, Deputy County Manager and Planning Director. Scott?
Thank you, sir. Good to see all of you gentlemen this evening. I have one zoning request for you gentlemen to consider. That would be ZMA 2020-03. Staff has received a rezoning application from Winston Mitchell to rezone a parcel of land totaling 1.4 acres. The request is to rezone the property from its current zoning of R3 residential to the general business zoning district. The applicant would like to expand a portion of his tractor business to this property, and his wife is also considering the possibility of establishing a new business in the structure that is on the property. The applicant has owned and operated a tractor repair and sales business on the adjoining property for 38 years. The applicant also owns the subject property and lives on property across the street from both the subject property and the existing business property. There is a new metal structure that has been built there, and the parcel 911 address is 4406 May Lynn Drive, Morganton, North Carolina. Records indicate that the property can be served by public water and private on-site septic. The parcel is located approximately 171 feet from North Carolina 18 South and has 381 linear feet of frontage on May Lynn Drive, which is actually a private road. You can see from the existing land use map that most of the properties surrounding this are residential in nature. The tractor facility is zoned commercial, and then we just have one other zoning of commercial there at the intersection. That blue is actually not office institutional there. It's actually a cell tower, and was mislabeled for the existing land use map. Approximately 780 feet to the northwest of this property and along North Carolina 18 South is the Burke County convenience site. As far as conformity goes with the comprehensive plan, the current land use plan for Burke County is the 2016 to 2030 Blueprint Burke Strategic Land Use Plan, and the subject parcel is located in the rural agricultural area. Areas located within these areas of the county are typically rural in nature, and access to infrastructure and utilities is often more limited than in the primary and secondary growth areas, which often are surrounding our towns. One of the fundamental policies of the land use plan is to allow and promote multiple types of economic development opportunities. So commercial development can be expected in these areas as needed to support the residential and agricultural nature of the area. As far as conformity with the Burke County zoning ordinance, the current zoning district for this particular parcel is R3 residential, so it would have to be rezoned to something else more suitable, like general business, to allow for this type of commercial activity. There's also a lack of sewer in the area or other infrastructure that would allow for large-scale general business, so there was no real conditions that were recommended for this. The planning board met and they voted unanimously to recommend that this board please consider approving this rezoning request. We had no individuals from the public to contact us or anyone to object to this rezoning. Of course, there would be a statement of consistency that would need to be adopted if you so choose to approve this rezoning request.
Thank you for your presentation, Scott. Gentlemen, any comments or questions to Scott?
Mr. Chairman, Scott, I thought I asked all my questions last week, and I did, and I don't find any reason not to approve this, but when I drove by it yesterday, I did have a question that came up. The road up to that new building
Yes, sir.
is single lane And
Private.
And my question is that going to be sufficient for that business to survive in that location?
It is. It will operate generally from the other, the existing site. And so this will just be spillover onto that, but the main operation will remain where it is. So we don't see any problems at all.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? If not, at this time, I'll open a public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to zoning map amendment ZMA 2020-03? Madam Clerk, seeing and hearing no one, I will close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of the board in this matter?
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt ordinance 2020-06, amending the official Burke County zoning map as it relates to ZMA 2020-03. Adopt zoning consistency statement. The proposed zoning map amendment can be considered consistent with the purposes and goals and objectives of the Burke County Strategic Land Use Plan and zoning ordinance, and is reasonable and in the public interest because the proposed general business GB zoning is consistent with adjacent zoning and existing development within this area. There is an existing non-residential structure on the subject property which is currently unoccupied. The parcel is within 780 feet of North Carolina DOT Minor Arterial Road, North Carolina 18 South, which is a major north-south transportation corridor in this area.
All right, gentlemen, you've heard Commissioner Britton's motion. All in favor signify by raising of the right hand. Madam Clerk, that will be 5-0. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you,
Moving on to item number 3. Item number 3 will be from Western Piedmont Council of Governments. This will be in regards to a CDBG water project number 16-I-2914, and this will be a closeout of that grant concerning Highway 18 South. Aaron from the COG is here. Aaron?
Okay, I think it's on. I'm Erin with the Council of Governments. We worked on administering this grant, so I'm just here to provide an overview of the project and give people an opportunity to comment. Summary of the project: public hearing is required to close out the CDBG water project on Roney Road and Highway 18 South. We used a $2 million grant awarded by the Division of Water Infrastructure in 2017. And this project extended 18,870 linear feet of 8-inch water line on NC Highway 18 South, connecting the dead-end lines currently on Highway 18 South between 4824 NC 18 South and John Abey Street intersection. And it also installed 12,130 linear feet of 8-inch water line on Roney Road to old NC Highway 18 South. Prior to this project, homes in the area were served by rock wells with low yields, and the water was high in iron, manganese, and hydrogen sulfide. Other homes were served by springs with varying water yields contingent on precipitation. Income surveys were conducted for each of the 43 occupied households within the project area. And the project assisted 64.7% of low to moderate income households. The projects benefited a total of 46 low moderate income individuals. Water connections, including the service lines, connections at the house, and well disconnection, were installed, creating a direct benefit for 23 low and moderate income households. In addition to installing a total of 31,030 linear feet of new water line, the Burke County CDBGI water project installed 13,267 linear feet of new water service lines, 29 new hydrants, and 40 new meter setters and boxes. A summary of the benefits provided by this project is that 42 households housing 85 people were improved with access to new water line. That's approximately 64.7% of those people are considered low to moderate income. The grant also provided 23 households with 46 people, 100% low to moderate income, benefiting with free water tap and housing connection. So only low to moderate income households were connected with the grant. And 31,000 roughly linear feet of 8-inch water lines installed. There is no budgetary effect for this public hearing. This is just a reminder that in January of 2019, a construction contract for $1,843,844.38 was awarded to Piedmont Utility Group, and up to $225,000 of the general fund balance was appropriated if other grant funding could not be found. In addition to the construction contract, there were other contracts associated with the project totaling $381,280. Grant administration services, environmental review, engineering services, and construction observation services. For the construction contract, there were a total of 2 change orders, totaling a net decrease of $17,507.74. And the final construction contract amount with those change orders was $1,826,336. Let me start over. $1,826,336.64. And I've got highlights for the change orders there. One of them was just a 90-day time extension, and the second of which was a adjusting change order that decreased the contract amount. Unfortunately, no additional grant funding was found. However, only $117,943.43 of fund balance was needed to balance the project budget. In actuality, only $14,930 of general fund balance was used due to the availability of interest earnings and CDBG fund balance left over from other CDBG projects. And that's all I've got for you.
Thank you, Aaron, for that presentation. Gentlemen, questions for Aaron or comments? All right, hearing none, at this time I'll open a public hearing and ask if there is anybody here that would like to speak to the grant closeout for CDBG Water Project 16I-2914. Seeing none and hearing none, Madam Clerk, I will close the public hearing. Thank you so much. Moving on to item number 8 is informal public comments. Madam Clerk, did anybody sign up?
Do not have any cards, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Can we back up just a second? JR, shouldn't we voice, excuse me, somebody turned me on. It says suggested motion, but should we not acknowledge the public hearing? Did not receive any public feedback, and we will be closing CDBG number 16-1-2914. Don't we need to do that to complete that item of business?
I would recommend a simple motion to approve the closing of CDBG 16-1-2914 to round that out.
So we don't need to comment that no public feedback was given.
No, I don't think you'll need that. But I do think a simple motion acknowledging the closing and approving it would be in order.
For Mr. Chairman, if that's
It's my
okay.
understanding we were going to do that at the December meeting with the minutes. Is that not true?
I had not heard that.
Mr. Chairman, there will be an item on the December agenda where the minutes from this portion of the meeting will be approved because the Department of Quality needs those as part of the closeout process. But I'm not aware that any motion to close out the grant is necessary.
Just documentation that the public hearing was held, and that would be those minutes that are
I couldn't hear her.
Come over.
All we need is documentation that the public hearing was held, which will be the minutes that Kay will present to you at the December meeting. So as long as we've got documentation that it was advertised and that it was held, so I think all you've got to do is just close it out.
That's my point. We must verify that we held the public meeting and et cetera, and the grant is now closed. So
We're going to do that at the December meeting, but I'll take it from you tonight if you'll make the motion.
Well, it says there's a suggested motion there, but I was adding some to it just because to make sure that the public hearing was held, but no public feedback was received. But it's fine just to close out CDBG number 16-1-2914. And I'll make that motion.
All right, gentlemen, you heard the motion. All in favor signify by raising of the right hands. 5-0, Madam Clerk. All right, no informal public comments. This time we'll move to the consent agenda, and I'll recognize County Manager Brian Steen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, you have 9 items on your consent agenda. Number 1, Burke County Public Schools presentation of financial data for the period ending September 30th, 2020. Item 2, BDI easement for electric at Burke Business Park. Item 3, BOC resolution requesting General Assembly declare 911 telecommunicators as public safety personnel. Item 4, Clerk, Council on Aging appointments and removals. Item 5, Clerk appointments to the Veterans Service Board. Item 6, Clerk appointment and removal of Voluntary Agriculture Board. Item 7, PBHM Partners Behavioral Mental Health Management Report for period ending June 30th and September 30th, 2020. Item 8, Tax Department Tax Collection Report for October 2020. And the final item, Item 9, Tax Department Release Refund Report for October 2020.
All right, gentlemen, you've heard Brian's report on the consent agenda. What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to approve all 9 items as presented.
All right, gentlemen, you heard Commissioner Taylor's motion. All in favor signify by raising of the right hand. Madam Clerk, that be 5-0. Thank you so much. Moving to items for decision. Our first item for decision tonight is from the Tax Department. An appeal of failure to list a penalty, and that will be presented by Danny Eisenhower, Tax Administrator. Danny?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. We had a taxpayer to appeal the failure to list penalty. So read the information. On October the 5th, 2020, a letter dated September 18th of 2020 was received from Continental Automotive Systems. This letter is in response to a 10% penalty that was added to the 2020 tax notice. Continental submitted a timely extension request and were granted an extension until March 16th of 2020. The March 16th deadline passed and the listing was not received until April 22nd of 2020. Therefore, a 10% penalty was assessed for failure to meet the legal submission requirement. North Carolina General Statute requires individuals and business to list personal property between January 1 and January 31 annually. The businesses are allowed an extension of time if requested and granted during the month of January. These extension requests are typically granted. Failure to submit the listing either during the month of January or by the extension date results in a 10% failure to list penalty. Under North Carolina General Statutes, the Board of Commissioners has the power to compromise. Although the Board of Commissioners has the power to compromise, this action can be challenged and the commissioners can be held personally responsible. Tax Administrator recommends the Board of Commissioners deny this request from Continental Automotive Systems, Inc. To release and refund the penalty for untimely listing. Be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you for your presentation, Danny. Gentlemen, questions or comments for Danny?
Mr. Chairman, again, I just like to, they've been such a good corporate neighbor, and I just like to see us help them a little bit, even if it's just half of that or whatever. And I know, you know, that we don't do that often or haven't done it in the past, but they're such a good corporate neighbor. They employ so many people. They've done so many things for the community. I don't know if in their corporation, if that laid on somebody's desk and somebody else pays for it or whatever, but I'm sure it's a mistake and whatever. And I'm sure, you know, it just maybe got overlooked somehow. And I know that's no excuse, but again, they're such a good corporate neighbor and done so much for our community. I would just hope that we could maybe cut that in half.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, I made my comments last week at 2 weeks ago, pre-agenda. And I have not varied from my own conscience or thoughts on the matter. I do want to re-emphasize when you unnecessarily, and that's probably a bad choice of words, tax somebody that increases the price to the product, it increases the price to their customers. But more important than that, to me, is the 500 families who work for that corporation. It also takes money and budget and stuff away from them. And I personally think we need to revisit that 10% the first year. If it's a big company, it's a big amount of money, and the first thing you're going to get from people is, well, they can afford to pay it. And of course, that is if it's not by intent or intended to cheat us out of the money. I think a first offense ought to deserve a little less percentage, but that's another question for another day.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chair, we made comments in the pre-agenda meeting as well. I understand what Wayne and Maynard are saying, but we set the precedent, which we haven't done before, because we have to treat everybody fair and equitable. When we set this precedent now, it's going to make it tough on us moving forward. And so if we treat them and give them special circumstances today, we open ourselves up to lawsuits and everything else. So this is a legal matter, and I guess I would ask the county attorney, would he agree on that if we set precedent and treat somebody in a special situation today, and we have not done that in the past, and somebody comes to us in the future and we don't forgive that, does that not open us up to some legal challenges?
Well, that opens you up to personal liability of everybody who votes for that, as well as being liable for the cost of any suit brought by any citizen in the county in order to challenge that. The one thing that really worries me for the commissioners is that on September 15th, at your meeting 2 months ago, there was an appeal just like this one from a company called Gersheimer down in Valdez, Gersheimer Glass, and they raised the same issues in their letter that that these folks have raised in theirs. In order to avoid liability, I think you've got to come up with some sort of differentiation between those two, other than this company's a good citizen and this one we're not that familiar with, and because I think anybody voting for it is going to open themselves up to having to pay that back, and also pay the cost to the plaintiff of any lawsuit brought to bring that back.
Mr. Chairman, gentlemen, we have made, I don't know how many times we have made concessions and helped people on their taxes. It's not a first time. It will not be a last time. Danny, I'm sure you'll tell me that probably within a few months you'll have some more up here that's late. I think that contrary to the belief that it sets a precedent, it does not. There's been times 20 years ago, people, for the last 20 years, there's always somewhere that you make concessions. And maybe it ain't always on taxes, maybe it's something else. And we make concessions on taxes to help companies out. And why are we so strict and so devilish to people who's been here and paid taxes and supported this community and schools and families for 20, 30, what is it? They came here in 94, is that correct? So it's, it's 26 years. And folks, we don't have that in the budget. Somebody says we take it out of the budget. That applies to the budget after the penalty or the crime is prevented, if that's what you want to call it. But, I'm sitting here thinking and don't want to use some terminology, but I think that it is important that this board should look at itself and see what the difference that's going to make, whether you get $40,000 or $80,000. And on the other side, how many millions of dollars worth of goodwill and benefit will it multiply into? So we're, we have spent money in the last budget. I am not going to do what I thought I would. I am not going to draw out specific examples, but I will use the entire body of fire departments that we gave without them asking $600,000 a year. And you talk about presidents and setting stuff. And I've got 3 or 4 other examples here, but I think you understand what I am saying. This is would be a still recognizing and still paying a fine, and yet this board responding to a request of one of our citizens, one of our companies, and to hundreds of employees. I think I heard they have over 500 employees. And I don't know if that point is accurate now. But the reasons I am hearing from you, from the rest of you, to put this burden on that company, I am not agreeable with and would not be acceptable to. I don't know these people. I don't eat dinner with them. I don't go to church with any of them. It's just the fair, honest, equitable thing for this board to do.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with everything the mayor says. That's why I'm just saying maybe cut it in half. But if they today came to us and said, well, we're ticked off about this, we're going to move out of the county, how many thousands of dollars in incentives would we give them now to get them to stay? We would give them thousands of dollars for them to stay. And I'm not saying they're going to do that, but if that happened, we would give them thousands of dollars to stay in Burke County. And I just think cutting it in half, sort of, yeah, we're punishing them some, but we're not. We're also showing some goodwill there.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'll just comment here. I'm still concerned that we've already set a precedent here with Gersheimer just a couple months ago. Those folks are just as good as Continental or anybody else. you know, we're dealing with a state statute here. This is not some rule that we've made up or that we can change at our whim. And there are consequences to us doing this action. You know, if we're that concerned about this cost to this particular company, then it would make a whole lot more sense to me if that's the angle we want to go from, is to deny this request and then come back. If you want to give them a gift out of the budget for that amount, then I suppose that would take us off the hook for it. But otherwise, I see this as, you know, straight up, all you got to do is read the statute here. Anybody in the county basically can come forward and say, hey, you done wrong by this, and you know, we're in the middle of it. So I just can't feel it's fair to the rest of the taxpayers based on what's before us to give on this.
Danny, have we ever, Maynard said that we probably have done some of this before in the past. Do you remember any cases where we helped them out?
As far as relieving a penalty, no, sir, we have not.
Right.
I can say that with a lot of confidence, being in this position for over 20 years.
Danny, we just okayed individual taxes just a month ago. Now, you're saying it's different for a company than an individual. And I beg the difference with you in that every company is owned by people. And those people have concerns and hurts as much as any individual. And some of those people, we let them get by without paying their taxes, can afford to pay those taxes more than you and I can. I know them. So, you know, it doesn't wash. You're paying favoritism on one side and not on the other. And that is not consistent governing from anybody. It's not consistent. You do it for somebody because you know them. You don't do them for somebody else. And they're all individuals. Every one of them comes down to individuals. And we don't know the budgets of all these companies. I can't tell you how. I know that they're a good run company, but the point is that we can accomplish what we want and win both ways. And that's my point.
Commissioner Taylor, I can assure you that we do not release any taxes. I can assure you that we do not release...
You can assure me what?
That we do not release any taxes that are due. I can assure you that we do not release any penalties that are due. The releases that the commissioners approve monthly are releases that are due to an error. Somebody charging... I'm going to give you an example that's sort of far-fetched, but could have happened. A good example that's easy to understand is we charge somebody we assess their value on their home, and we assess them for a basement. And they say, we do not have a basement. So we go out, we review that property, they do not have a basement. In that case, we will take off the value of that basement. But we do not change people's values. We do not allow people not to pay their taxes. Sure, we've got delinquents out there. You're going to have delinquents every year. That list builds. We do all types of enforced collections on that. We garnish bank accounts. We garnish wages. We foreclose as a last result. You know, so to say that we release taxes is not.
No,
I apologize, but that's not a true statement.
We do. We did that a month ago. The board does, and that's the reason the law is there. That's the reason we're here right now. is because the law says if the board, if somebody wanted to appeal to this board, they have a right to do so, correct?
They can appeal to the board, yes, they
All
can.
right, that's the reason the law is there. And we, this board, is to decide the circumstances and whether or not, you know, we would give some consideration for the request. That's what we're doing here tonight.
Those requests, those cannot be arbitrary. They have to be factual.
They have to be what?
Factual.
There's stuff that's not factual? Is your stuff not factual?
No, that's what I'm saying. It is. It has to be, for me to bring a release to this board, there has to be some facts substantiating that, the reason for that release. Other than that, there would be no release.
What was it, Madam Clerk? 3 people within the last 2 months, I know, that we have allowed the penalty to be taken off because the late filing penalty?
Because it was misapplied.
In
that case.
No, you said because the COVID, and they couldn't get the stuff from the doctor. We had, I don't know all of them, but it's.
Age exemptions.
That was the age exemption. That was the age exemption on those. And you have the right on something like that to approve that up till December 31st on what they call a late application. So what you approved was a late application.
The point is, we're here because the law allows a business or citizen to appeal to this board, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, we know it's done. That's the reason the law's there. Not only from this county, but lots of counties, most counties, sometime or another. You will get into this.
It's a pleasure of the board on this matter.
Mr. Chairman, I move to deny the request by Continental Automotive Systems, Inc. for release and refund of the penalties associated with the 2020 failure to list in the amount of $79,103.03.
All right, gentlemen, you heard the vice chair's motion. All in favor of that motion signify by raising the right hand. All opposed?
I would have liked to have made an amendment to the motion, Chairman. It's too late. It's too late now.
Yes, sir, it is.
You've made.
You voting
allowed
no
the
on this motion?
without-
I give you plenty of latitude tonight to do some things, and I probably should have stopped you sooner. You gonna vote no on this?
Pardon?
Are you voting no on this? The
Yes.
motion, okay. The vote is 3-2, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Danny. All right, let's move to the reports and comments section. Let's start with the county attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since the last meeting of commissioners on October 20th, I have completed my attorney's response letter to the auditor's request for the 2019-2020 audit. I have filed suit against Travis Brothers and Greg Brothers for violation of county zoning and county environmental compliance ordinances concerning an automobile repair facility in a residential area. I'm preparing to file an additional suit for violation of the county's zoning ordinance and environmental compliance ordinance. And as of this week, there may be a new suit on the horizon concerning events of the last several weeks. I have drafted amendment agreements for discovery court contracts, and I'm in the process of drafting those now. I have completed a draft of a proposed development agreement for an area of the Fontflora County Park for tree houses, stilt houses, and cabins. I have reviewed the proposed revisions to that agreement, met with the developer and Scott Carpenter and negotiated this for 6 hours over a period of 2 days, and I'm now in the process of updating and modifying the proposed development agreement. In continuing negotiation with 2 uniform vendors to settle a dispute with the county. I am researching a project by which the county will gain a large addition to an industry that's presently located here, and assisting Allen Wood with the procedure and proposal that this large addition with more jobs can be put through. I have reviewed and advised General Services concerning a contract to extend the county's vendor for mailing out water bills. I've reviewed and received an extension agreement to keep the health department in the community care physicians network. I am reviewing a renewal of the county's contract with Aramark for providing meals at the county jail facility, and I am reviewing an agreement to provide temporary staffing at the Burke County Animal Services. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. County Attorney. Madam Clerk?
I have no comments, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Abley?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if J.R. covered what he was saying there, but there's a huge thing going around the country about these tiny homes, and there's a community between Asheville and Hendersonville and Flat Rock with a whole community of these, and I don't know if in the county, I've got a couple calls lately about tiny homes. I don't know if it's something we want to address or have our staff address that, but I know right now it's probably against our ordinances, but I think this thing is going to continue to grow, and it's a lot of people like that way of living. So I don't know if it should be in a community or what, but I think it's something we ought to look at.
Okay. Scott, will you please address that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, come on up right now if you got something.
So we have addressed that.
Turn your mic on for me.
Yes, sir. So we have addressed that, Wayne, and we do allow tiny homes in the county.
We do.
We do. We do not discriminate to the size of a house. So if you want to build it small, then that's fine. You can do that. What we do require is that it be built to the state building code for the safety of the residents and whoever's investing in the properties, and that's about it.
So if this is a modular and you pull it on site, underpin it with rock, or that's all right too. I mean,
Yes, sir. If it's a modular,
it's built.
but it can't be an RV park model, then that does not meet the state
You're
building.
saying RV park model.
Right.
You know, what is really an RV park model?
Well, there's different standards when they're inspected, and they receive stickers. So a modular unit would receive a sticker from an engineer saying it's built to the North Carolina State Building Code. An RV park model would receive another one from another engineer saying it does not meet the state building code, but that it meets these standards.
So my log home at the lake wouldn't, because it's pulled in by a trailer, underpinned with rock, you can't tell that it's modular or anything, that wouldn't pass.
It may not pass, it depends on how it's brought in. So what we do on structures that are different or are made out of containers or something else, if it passes the state building code, or if you have an engineer show up and say, I'm signing off on this, stating that this unit is safe and meets the rules and regulations of the state, then we allow that.
So we would allow the containers to be?
Yes, sir. If they are brought to us by an engineer and he signs off on them stating that that is safe.
This thing is going to grow, I think, a lot, especially with young couples. I mean, all over the country, maybe I watch too much TV, but
we've
it seems like it's really growing.
So we haven't seen much activity with those in Burke County, and I
Right.
think a lot of it is because of the size of them. What we are seeing an increase is we allow the accessory dwelling units that are with an existing home, and we
Right.
are seeing some of those being permitted.
All right. All right.
So,
Thank
but
you.
yes, sir, we're not against them, we just don't.
Well, I think we need to keep looking at this thing because I think this thing is going to grow, you know, especially with young people and whatever.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, anything else, Wayne? Good comments. Commissioner Taylor?
If you'd like to see one of those tiny houses, there's one on Chatsworth Church Road.
Oh.
About 1.5 miles from my house, so. But one quick question, and not to belabor the point, Scott, but you can't put one of those anywhere, can you?
You can, sir.
You can't put them in a development or
Unless the covenants of the neighborhood restrict it, but Burke County does not restrict it.
Yeah, I got you.
Yes, sir.
Right. Yeah. Two quick things. Attended the ribbon cutting of Horsepower Park. That's at Antioch Speedway, and it's designed for motorcycles and humps and hills, and I think they've got a nice situation out there to do that kind of stuff if they can just get the word out. But got some big horsepower stuff, and I also attended one ribbon cutting. Oh, that's what I just said. And the second thing I wanted to say to you, that when you get, and I looked at all the stuff Kay provided with us, and it was not in that material today, so I assume it'll be there next month. But there's an awfully lot of changing of the MTAC, the highways and the projects. But all in all, Burke County fared well. A lot of the stuff is being held up because of money. A lot is being held up because of delay in getting right-of-ways. But as you look at that, I think you'll see where Burke County fared very well as they reshuffle all that stuff of 9-10 years of highway building that they lay out, and that we keep shifting around and organizing and deciding which construction job is to go next. And that's for all 4 of the counties, by the way, but they lost a couple pretty big ones that was moved back. Didn't lose it, let me rephrase that. It was postponed, it was set back 4 or 5 years. So you may want to pay attention to that when you get that copy. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Britton?
None, sir.
Mr. Vice Chair?
Just say I hope everyone has a very happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Thank you, sir. Mr. County Manager?
Gentlemen, that was brought to my attention over the weekend that our animal services staff had been included in a widely circulated magazine for the accomplishments they've recently made in getting animals adopted here. Shared that with y'all, and I'm quite proud of what we're doing with the Animal Services Center.
As we all are. Thank you, sir. Let me give you some courtesy reminders. The county offices will be closed November 26th and 27th for Thanksgiving. Our organizational meeting for the new board will be Monday, December the 7th at 2:00 p.m. here in this room. There will be a small reception after that organizational meeting at 2:30 p.m. Our pre-agenda meeting for December is scheduled for Monday, December the 7th at 3:00 p.m. in this room. Our regular meeting will be Tuesday, December the 15th at 6:00 p.m. here in this room. We will not be participating in the Morganton Christmas Parade this year since there's actually not a parade. Mr. County Manager?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I forgot some other good news. There were some pictures there for you. Went up with Scott to look at some of the trail development. You can see our pine tree in the fog that was put there by our friends with Oak Hill Iron and Wood. And you can see some trail, I don't know if you want to call that a bridge, boardwalk being under construction. And I've asked Scott to get us a little more of that as it develops and be able to show maybe, I don't know if it's December or January, whenever we have an opportunity to. It's coming along and looks nice. I'm sorry I forgot that.
No problem, sir. I'd like to remind everybody that's watching us tonight, please follow us on Facebook. Again, have all your pets spayed or neutered. We would appreciate that. And remember to go by and either foster or adopt an animal from Animal Services Center. Help our wildlife and the environment by removing litter from the streets and highways, and we certainly would appreciate that. Madam Clerk, give us our vacancy announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and citizens. We have the following opportunities for citizens to be involved in county boards and committees: the Adult Care and Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee, Council on Aging, Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, the City of Morganton Board of Adjustment and Planning Board for the ETJ, the Burke Senior Center Advisory Council, the Recreation Commission, and that's it.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Danny, before you leave, I remembered, so I want you to see me before you go. There's no need for closed session tonight, so with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We stand adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.